Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. The Bennet family lives in a quiet rural part of England on a modest estate called Longbourn. Mr. and Mrs. Bennet have five daughters: Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia, each with distinct personalities. The family's living situation is overshadowed by a serious problem tied to inheritance laws of the time. Because Mr. Bennet has no sons, the estate cannot be passed down to his daughters. Instead, it is legally bound to pass to a distant male relative, their cousin, Mr. Collins, following Mr. Bennet's death. The fact places both practical and emotional pressure on the Bennet family, as Mrs. Bennet often expresses with a mix of anxiety and determination. She is keenly aware of how important it is for her daughters to marry well, as a good marriage is their best chance at financial security and social standing. After Mr. Bennet is gone, Mrs. Bennet confides this urgency to Mr. Bennet early in the novel. Your estate is entailed on a distant relation, and your daughters are at his mercy. What a fine thing for our girls! This fact places both practical and emotional pressure on the Bennet family, as Mrs. Bennet often expresses with a mix of anxiety and determination. Her excitement and worry about advantageous marriages are evident in her constant talk of securing wealthy husbands for her daughters. She says, "You must marry them off, and you can have no objection to me trying to get them married." This situation colors much of the family's interactions and decisions, whereas Mr. Bennet enjoys a more private, detached humor about the concern. Mrs. Bennet is more vocal and persistent, frequently worrying about the futures of their daughters. Mr. Bennet understands the importance but also seems resigned to the unfairness of the entailment, once noting, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." The famous opening sentence of the novel highlights the social realities and pressures the Bennet sisters face. Marriage is not just about love but about economic survival. The absence of a male heir and the entailment to Mr. Collins also adds tension and urgency. Mr. Collins, a somewhat ridiculous and pompous clergyman, regularly reminds the family of his expected inheritance and tries to secure a marriage within the Bennet family, making Mrs. Bennet's pursuit of rich husbands all the more pressing. Thus, the inheritance laws and the lack of sons shape the Bennet family's social and emotional landscape, influencing the marriages, romances, and conflicts that drive the story forward. One day, the quiet life of the Bennet family is stirred up when a rich young gentleman named Mr. Charles Bingley arrives at Netherfield Park, a large nearby estate. Bingley is described as a pleasant and friendly man, full of good humor and easy manners, someone who immediately attracts positive attention wherever he goes. His cheerful and kind nature makes him quite popular among the local people. The narrator notes, "What a good natured, amiable, delightful young man." It quickly becomes clear that Bingley has a fondness for the eldest Bennet daughter, Jane. At a lively ball held in the nearby town, Jane and Bingley meet. Their attraction is immediate and mutual. They enjoy each other's company and form a quick and natural connection. Jane's gentle and sweet disposition perfectly complements Bingley's warmth. Jane's mother eagerly comments on this budding romance. "Jane is the most beautiful creature I ever beheld." When Bingley's presence brings excitement, he arrives accompanied by his close friend, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy. Unlike Bingley's openness, Darcy impresses people as proud, reserved, and aloof. His demeanor is cold and distant, and he quickly develops a reputation for being difficult to approach. At the same ball, Darcy's behavior is striking. He refuses to dance with Elizabeth Bennet, calling her tolerable but not handsome enough to tempt me. His haughty remark is overheard by Elizabeth, igniting her dislike and shaping. Elizabeth, who is sharp witted and independent, does not soon forget Darcy's condescending dismissal. She thinks to herself, he is a most disagreeable, horrid man, not at all worth pleasing. Darcy's coldness contrasts sharply with Bingley's friendly and easy hearted manner. Elizabeth's witty and spirited nature clashes with Darcy's prideful reserve, and their early interactions are marked by misunderstanding and misjudgment. While while Bingley quickly wins affection, Darcy's social pride and silence make him seem unkind and distant, especially to Elizabeth, who is proud herself and willing and unwilling to tolerate rudeness. This opening encounter establishes a dynamic that will evolve as both characters come to see beyond their initial impressions. As the story progresses, Mr. Darcy's initial coldness begins to soften, especially as he spends more time observing Elizabeth Bennet. Darcy becomes increasingly impressed by Elizabeth's sharp intelligence, lively spirit, and strong character. Unlike many women he has known, Elizabeth speaks her mind freely and with wit, unafraid to challenge social norms or to stand up to him. Slowly, Darcy finds himself drawn to her uniqueness and strength. He reflects on her qualities in a private letter to his friend, saying, "But your family, your connections, and your situation in life are circumstances which might have guarded me against so great a prejudice." Despite Darcy's growing admiration, Elizabeth's view of him hardens due to the influence of another character, Mr. George Wickham. Wickham is a charming, handsome soldier who quickly catches Elizabeth's trust and sympathy. He tells her a story filled with bitterness, claiming that Darcy has treated him unjustly and cruelly. Wickham recounts how Darcy denied him a promised inheritance and has behaved dishonorably toward him. His tale makes Darcy appear selfish and malicious in Elizabeth's eyes. Elizabeth reflects on Wickham's story with a mixture of anger and disbelief at Darcy's supposed cruelty. Poor wronged Wickham! How could such a proud man treat him so? Because Elizabeth has only met Darcy's proud exterior, she readily believes Wickham's version of events and forms a deep prejudice against Darcy's character. This misunderstanding darkens her feelings towards Darcy, even though his regard for her secretly grows. The contrast between Darcy's true nobility and Wickham's deceitful charm creates a complex tension in the novel, as Elizabeth is caught between appearance and reality. This misjudgment is central to the theme of Pride and Prejudice, where initial impressions and misunderstandings must be overcome for true understanding and love to flourish. While the social pressures to marry are strong, Elizabeth Bennet remains firm in her values and refuses to marry without affection. One significant proposal she receives is from Mr. Collins, the Bennet family's clergyman cousin. Mr. Collins stands to inherit the Bennet estate due to the entailment but is socially awkward and overly concerned with pleasing his patroness, Lady Catherine. When Mr. Collins proposes to Elizabeth, his speech is long winded and filled with self importance. He praises Lady Catherine extensively and lists practical reasons why Elizabeth should accept, such as securing her future comfortably. He says, "My reasons for marrying are first, that I think it is the right thing for every clergyman in easy circumstances to set the example of matrimony in his parish." Despite his intentions, Elizabeth finds his proposal unappealing and refuses him firmly but politely. She is unwilling to sacrifice her independence and happiness for financial security or social convenience. "You could not make me happy, and I am convinced that I am the last woman in the world who would make you so." Soon after Elizabeth's refusal, Mr. Collins quickly turns his attention to Elizabeth's friend Charlotte Lucas. Charlotte is pragmatic and accepts Mr. Cullen's proposal with a clear understanding that love is not the priority. Instead, she seeks security and a comfortable home. Charlotte explains her decision to Elizabeth with surprising frankness. "I am not romantic, you know. I never was. I ask only a comfortable home." Charlotte's acceptance of Mr. Collins highlights the limited options available to women of their social class and the importance placed on financial and social stability over romantic affection. Her marriage is practical, ensuring her future safety but lacking the warmth of love. This subplot contrasts Elizabeth's desire for love and respect in marriage with the realities many women faced, further emphasizing Austen's commentary on societal pressures and marriage. Later in the story, Mr. Darcy unexpectedly Later in the story, Mr. Darcy unexpectedly proposes marriage to Elizabeth Bennet, but his manner is far from gentle or humble. His proposal is filled with a mix of passion and pride, and he openly struggles with the social differences between them. Though confessing his strong feelings, Darcy cannot fully hide his anxiety about Elizabeth's lower social standing and family connections. He says, "In vain have I struggled. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell how ardently I admire and love you." However, Darcy continues by emphasizing the obstacles he has faced in overcoming his awareness of her inferior social status. "You must acknowledge that it is no very great inducement that your connections are a little inferior, that you are not known to have any money." Elizabeth is shocked and offended by this tone. Feeling insulted by his pride and the implication that she is somehow beneath him, she rejects his proposal with anger and scorn. She firmly tells him, "From the very beginning, from the first moment, I may almost say, of my acquaintance with you, your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain for the feelings of others made me realize that you are not a gentleman." She also confronts Darcy about the stories she has heard about his mistreatment of Mr. Wickham, accusing him of cruelty and injustice. Darcy listens with wounded pride but answers only briefly before leaving. The next day, however, Darcy sends Elizabeth a lengthy letter explaining his side of the story and revealing much that she didn't know. He clarifies the truth about Mr. Wickham, stating that Wickham is deceitful and dishonest, having tried to elope with Darcy's younger sister for her fortune. Darcy writes, "Wickham has imposed on my cousin's kindness, and my own too, very fatally. His conduct has been scandalous, but I am not now to be accused of ill nature for declining to receive him." Darcy also explains his interference in the relationship between Jane Bennet and Mr. Bingley, which he did because he believed Jane's feelings were not as strong as they appeared and wanted to protect his friend from a potentially unhappy marriage. Reading this letter humbles Elizabeth and forces her to reconsider her harsh judgments. She reflects: could it be possible that her pride has misled her and that Darcy had acted honorably all along? This letter becomes a turning point in the novel, marking the beginning of Elizabeth's shift from prejudice toward understanding, and it reveals the theme that first impressions can be mistaken. As time passes, Elizabeth's feelings towards Mr. Darcy undergo a profound change. The initial judgments, clouded by pride and prejudice, begin to fade as Elizabeth witnesses Darcy's true character, one marked by honor, kindness, and generosity. Her gradual realization is captured in her thoughts. She began to comprehend that his pride was of a peculiar kind, and that beneath it there was much good and feeling. A pivotal moment in this transformation comes when Darcy takes decisive and selfless action to save the Bennet family's reputation. Lydia, the youngest and most impulsive Bennet sister, runs away with Mr. Wickham, threatening to bring scandal and disgrace upon the entire family. Darcy tracks down the couple and persuades Wickham to marry Lydia, quietly paying Wickham's debts and securing the marriage. Elizabeth later learns: he has done it all. He has saved my family from a most dreadful disgrace. What makes Darcy's act all the more remarkable is his humility. He does not seek recognition or thanks for what he has done. His generosity is motivated by his love for Elizabeth and his desire to protect her family's honor, not by arrogance or the hope of reward. Elizabeth reflects: he did it for love, without expecting any praise or reward. This selfless act makes a turning point in Elizabeth's perception, helping her to see Darcy's true nature beyond his proud exterior. She recognizes the depth of his character and begins to return his feelings, appreciating the kind and noble man he is beneath the surface pride. In the end, the story reaches a joyful conclusion as happiness and love triumph over misunderstandings and social barriers. Mr. Bennet, whose fondness for Jane Bennet never wavered, returns from his contemporary absence and proposes marriage to Jane. Their engagement is met with joy as Jane's gentle kindness perfectly matches Bingley's warm hearted charm. Jane's happiness reflects the sweet and steady nature of their love, which had already been evident in their early interactions. Mr. Darcy comes forward once again to propose to Elizabeth Bennet. This time, his manner is entirely changed, humble, respectful, and sincere. He expresses his love without any trace of pride or arrogance, showing he has grown and learned from his past mistakes. Darcy says, "You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you." Elizabeth, who has come to deeply understand and return his feelings, accepts him gladly. She acknowledges the profound love growing between them and embraces the future they will share. Her acceptance is a moment of joyful surrender to love. "You are too generous to trifle with me. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once." This engagement symbolizes the overcoming of personal flaws and social prejudices, the union of two individuals who have grown through self awareness and understanding. The novel closes on the hopeful and romantic note that true love is possible when pride and prejudice are set aside. As Elizabeth and Darcy prepare to build a life based on mutual respect and affection. The story ends with two happy marriages, Jane and Bingley, gentle and kind love, and Elizabeth and Darcy, passionate, strong love born from growth and change. To get the complete PDF of our analysis and discussion, you can join our group. Thank you.